A loud crash echoed through the hallway as Lena Hartley burst through the clinic doors, nearly slipping on the polished floor. Her phone slid from her hand and skidded across the tiles, but she didn't stop. She pressed a trembling palm to her stomach as she pushed toward the reception desk. A nurse looked up in surprise. "Ma'am, are you all right?" "No," Lena gasped. Just tell Dr. Rana I'm here." The nurse nodded quickly. Lena's chest rose and fell in short, panicked breaths. She wasn't in physical pain, it was fear, pure, suffocating fear that squeezed her lungs and made everything blur. The door to the consultation room swung open, and Dr. Rana gently waved her inside. Lena barely noticed herself moving, but suddenly she was seated, twisting her fingers so tightly her knuckles turned white. Dr. Rana didn't start with small talk. She simply opened the file and exhaled slowly. "Lena. I'm afraid the results came back lower than expected." Lena swallowed hard. "How low?" "Very low," the doctor said softly. "Your AMH levels show that your egg supply is declining rapidly. If you want a biological child, you may have only 3 months of reasonable chance." Everything went silent. Not quiet, silent. The kind of silence that feels like the world has stopped breathing. 3 months. Her throat tightened. "But I'm only 29. "I know," Dr. Rana said. "It's uncommon, but not unheard of. I want you to start trying immediately." Trying. As if Lena's life wasn't already falling apart in too many directions at once. After she left the clinic, the world looked strange, like she was watching herself walk through it from far away. Outside, the wind whipped through her hair, and her eyes stung. She pressed her forehead to her steering wheel and let out a broken breath. 3 months. Her birthday, her 30th, was in 8 weeks. Her family trust had a marriage clause that kicked in that very day. If she wasn't married, everything, the house, the savings her father left, the inheritance he'd built for her future, would go to her cousin, who had always made her feel small. She drove to her parents' house because she had nowhere else to go. Inside, her mother was arranging flowers, humming softly until she saw Lena's face. The humming stopped immediately. "What happened?" she asked, voice trembling. Lena's lips parted, but the words refused to come. Her mother pulled her close as she broke down, shaking. When Lena finally managed to speak, her mother's expression collapsed. 3 months? Oh, sweetheart. Her father came in moments later. He wasn't a man who cried easily, but the way he looked at her, a mix of heartbreak and helplessness, made Lena's chest ache. Then the doorbell rang. Her cousin Haley strutted in, all bright smiles and venom beneath them. "Lena. Why does everyone look like someone died?" Her mother stiffened. Her father sighed. Lena wiped her face, unwilling to show weakness in front of Haley. Haley tossed her hair. "Anyway, I just came by to remind you, you've only 8 weeks left before the inheritance clause expires. But don't worry, if you can't find a husband, I'll put the money to good use." Lena stared at her. The pressure in her chest felt unbearable. Haley smirked. "Unless, of course, you can prove you're fertile. But with that flat stomach and no boyfriend in sight, I doubt." "Haley." Her father's voice deepened. "Enough. Oh, please. I'm just being honest." Lena stood up, breathing hard. "Get out." Haley blinked innocently. "Why so sensitive?" "Just get out." Lena snapped. Her mother moved quickly, guiding Haley toward the door before Lena could lose the last of her restraint. When the door shut, Lena sank to the couch, trembling again. Her mother tried to soothe her, but nothing could soothe news this heavy. Later that night, Lena sat alone in her room, scrolling through contacts she knew she couldn't call. She'd broken up with her ex a year ago. She wasn't dating. She wasn't even talking to anyone. How was she supposed to get pregnant in 3 months? Her phone buzzed with a reminder for a product design meeting the next morning. She worked at a tech company called Nova Tech, where her boss, Roxanne Ward, delighted in making her life miserable. It didn't matter. She needed the job more than ever now. She didn't sleep. The next morning, Lena walked into work feeling drained. Roxanne met her at the elevator with a smirk. "Rough night?" Roxanne asked. "You look exhausted." The intentional pause stung. Before Lena could respond, someone stepped between them. Adrian Wells. He wasn't a co-worker, he was a visiting consultant, a brilliant, stoic scientist Novatech had partnered with. Tall, composed, with sharp eyes and a calmness that made everyone else look unprepared. He glanced at Roxanne. "Is this conversation work-related?" Roxanne faltered. Of course. "Doesn't sound like it," Adrian said calmly, then stepped inside the elevator beside Lena. Roxanne stared after him, speechless. When the door slid shut, Lena exhaled shakily. "You don't have to defend me," she murmured. Adrian shrugged lightly. "Rude people drain my patience." She tried to smile, but she was too raw. He studied her for a moment. "You're not well." "It's nothing." "It's not nothing." "Your hands are shaking." She hid them behind her back. "Just a lot on my plate." Adrian hesitated. He wasn't the emotional type. Everyone said he processed things like a machine, efficient, cold, rational. But there was something in his eyes, something she hadn't noticed before. "If you ever need analytical help solving a problem," he said, "I can do that." "Analytical help?" she asked softly. "Yes. Emotional problems aren't my specialty, but logistical ones, I'm good at." She nearly laughed, but it came out as more of a wounded sound. The elevator chimed and the doors opened. Neither of them moved. Adrian spoke first. "Lena, whatever the problem is, there is always a solution. If you can't find one, create one." Something inside her cracked open. A solution. She didn't have one. Not even close. But Adrian's words clung to her like a lifeline. Later that afternoon, during a break, she saw Adrian alone in the cafeteria, typing rapidly on his tablet, his focus absolute. She hesitated before approaching him. "Adrian," she said softly. He looked up immediately. "Are you okay?" She took a breath. "No. And I don't know how to fix it." He gestured for her to sit. Lena sat slowly, fingers shaking. I need a child. In 3 months. Or I lose everything my father left for me. And my fertility is failing." Her voice broke. "I don't have anyone. No boyfriend. No partner. No time." Adrian didn't react with surprise. His expression remained calm, analytical, processing her words. Then he said something that changed everything. "I can help." She blinked. "Help? How?" "We could form a temporary marriage contract. For 3 months. I provide the sperm donation. You proceed with insemination. The marriage satisfies the inheritance clause, and after 3 months, we end the contract." Lena stared at him, stunned. "Why would you do that for me?" she whispered. He looked down briefly, then back at her. "Because I need something, too." "What?" "A spouse. Temporarily. For my mother's foundation to release the grant I need." He paused. "You're honest. Responsible. And you won't make it complicated." Lena's heart pounded painfully. A marriage contract. Pregnancy. 3 months. This was insane. And yet, it was the only solution she had. Adrian extended his hand. Let's both get what we need. She looked at his hand. Her future hinged on one impossible choice. And she made it. Her fingers slid into his. The contract began. Lena's hand felt small inside Adrian's, and for a moment neither of them spoke. The air between them felt too still, too sharp, as if they had stepped across a line they couldn't return from. When they finally let go, her fingers tingled. Adrian tapped quickly on his tablet. We'll need a simple contract. Clear terms. No romantic expectations. No complicated emotional entanglements. Lena nodded, though her heart was beating too fast. Okay. And we have to maintain appearances, he added. Publicly, we should seem married. It will reduce suspicion. My mother is persistent. Lena swallowed. I can handle that. He glanced at her again, softer this time. Are you sure you want this? No. Absolutely not. Nothing about this was normal. Nothing about this was safe. But she had no other choice. Yes, she whispered. I'm sure. That night, she packed a small suitcase and stood outside his condo, a sleek glass building overlooking Eastwick's skyline. Her hand shook as she buzzed up, but Adrian's voice came through calmly. Come up. The elevator ride felt endless. When the doors opened, Adrian was waiting, wearing a simple dark shirt and holding a stack of papers. His expression was unreadable. Welcome, he said, stepping back. You can settle into the guest room. The word guest stung more than it should. Inside, the condo was spotless, minimalistic furniture, quiet lighting, nothing out of place. It looked like a place designed for order, not emotion. Adrian handed her the printed contract. I outlined the details. 3 rounds of insemination. Shared public appearances. Basic domestic cooperation. And termination of the contract after 3 months. Lena's eyes scanned the pages. It's very thorough. Clarity avoids problems, Adrian said. She signed. He signed. 2 signatures that changed both their lives. Afterward, Adrian hesitated. There's something else. My mother is visiting tomorrow morning. She believes I'm incapable of forming attachments. If she senses we're only doing this for convenience, she'll dig until she uncovers everything. Lena looked up, startled. You want me to pretend we're affectionate? Not affectionate, he corrected calmly. Just believable. Believable. That word echoed inside her. She nodded. The next morning came too quickly. Lena barely slept. She stood in the mirror adjusting the soft sweater she'd chosen, trying to make herself look like someone a man like Adrian might actually choose. She stepped out to find Adrian in the kitchen, making tea. He looked at her with a flicker of something. Surprise? Appreciation? You look appropriate, he said. Appropriate, she echoed, arching a brow. I meant good, he corrected quickly. Very good. Before she could respond, a sharp knock sounded at the door. Adrian stiffened. My mother. He opened the door, and Miriam Wells swept in like a gust of judgmental wind. Perfect posture, perfect hair, perfect disapproving eyes. So this is the woman you married in secret? Miriam demanded, her gaze sweeping over Lena. Adrian stepped beside Lena, his hand brushing her lower back in a quiet but startlingly intimate gesture. Yes, he said. This is my wife. Wife. The word landed like a weight on Lena's chest. Miriam narrowed her eyes. And how long have you known each other? Long enough, Adrian replied. Miriam's lips twisted. I know how you operate, Adrian. Everything in your life is calculated. I want to know if this marriage is real. Lena forced a smile. It is. We're very happy. It felt odd to say, but Adrian took her hand, intertwining his fingers with hers, and for a moment Lena forgot they were pretending. Miriam watched them closely, then softened, slightly. Well, I suppose if you've chosen her, I should give her a chance. After Miriam left, Lena finally breathed again. Adrian released her hand as if realizing too late that he'd been holding it. You performed well, he said. You make it sound like a test. It was, he admitted. But you passed. Lena rolled her eyes. Adrian didn't smile often, but something like amusement crossed his face. At work later that week, tensions rose again. Roxanne cornered Lena in the design room, slamming a folder onto the table. You missed a deadline, Roxanne snapped. No, I submitted it last night, Lena replied, confused. Well, I didn't get it. Lena's stomach sank. I emailed. Roxanne leaned closer. Maybe instead of playing house with some man, you should focus on your job. Heat rushed to Lena's face. That's none of your business. Oh, everything is my business, Roxanne hissed. Especially when incompetent employees drag this department down. Before Lena could speak, a voice cut through the room. She's not incompetent. Adrian stood in the doorway. Roxanne froze. Adrian strode in calmly. I reviewed her designs with the board this morning. They were impressed. She's now leading the next major project. Roxanne's face drained of color. What? Congratulations, Adrian said softly to Lena. Lena's breath hitched. I didn't know. I didn't want to tell you until it was confirmed. Roxanne stormed out, humiliated. When they were alone, Lena looked up at him. Did you do this for me? I did it because you earned it. And because you needed someone to stand up for you. Her chest tightened, painfully warm. That night at home, they ate dinner quietly. Adrian wasn't good with small talk, and Lena wasn't sure how to bridge the growing closeness between them. When she reached for a dish, her hand brushed his, and they both froze. He didn't pull away. The next morning came the insemination procedure. Lena tried to stay calm as she sat on the clinic bed, but her heartbeat pounded in her ears. Adrian sat beside her, unexpectedly tense. You're shaking again, he murmured. It's just fear, she whispered. What if it doesn't work? What if I lose everything? Adrian took her hand, firm, warm, steady. Then we try again. And again. Until it does. His certainty brought tears to her eyes. After the procedure, Lena lay back, blinking up at the ceiling as emotion washed over her. Adrian stayed the entire time, silent but present. When they returned home, Lena excused herself to the guest room, her temporary marriage, her temporary chance at a future. But when she closed the door, she pressed her palms to her face and cried. She cried because she was scared. She cried because she was trying. She cried because for the first time, someone stayed. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment to support the channel. Your engagement helps this story continue. Lena woke the next morning with swollen eyes and a dull ache in her chest. She moved quietly through the condo, hoping Adrian wouldn't notice the traces of her tears. But when she stepped into the living room, she found him already awake, sitting on the couch with his laptop, watching her with an expression she couldn't read. You didn't sleep well, he said. She froze. How do you know? You were pacing at 3 a.m. She flushed. Sorry. I didn't realize you could hear. I don't sleep much, he said simply. She murmured a soft apology, but Adrian shook his head. You don't have to apologize for being human. The words hit her unexpectedly hard. She sat down across from him, fingers twisting together. Do you ever feel overwhelmed? He closed his laptop slowly. Overwhelmed isn't the right word for me. But there are moments where things don't fit neatly into boxes. Moments I don't know how to classify. His voice lowered. This contract is one of them. Lena stiffened. Do you regret it? No, he answered quickly. I just didn't expect to care whether you slept or cried. Her breath caught. Before she could respond, his phone buzzed. Adrian glanced at it, then stood. My mother is dropping by unannounced. Again. He exhaled sharply. She'll question you. More aggressively than last time. Lena nodded, though anxiety quailed in her stomach. I'll handle it. Miriam arrived 20 minutes later, stepping into the condo with sharp eyes that missed nothing. Lena, she began, voice clipped. I'd like to talk to you alone. Adrian started to protest, but Lena gently touched his arm. It's fine. I'll talk to her. Adrian frowned but stepped back. Miriam crossed her arms as soon as he left the room. I don't know what your intentions are with my son, but Adrian has always been easily manipulated. Lena blinked, startled. I'm not manipulating him. Oh please, Miriam scoffed. You expect me to believe he suddenly fell in love and married you secretly? Lena swallowed hard. We didn't fall in love. So you admit something is off, Miriam said sharply. Lena hesitated. She couldn't reveal the truth, but she also couldn't lie convincingly enough for someone like Miriam. She met the older woman's eyes. What I can tell you is that Adrian isn't alone anymore. He chose this. He chose me. Maybe not the way you wanted, but he made a decision. You should respect that. For the first time, Miriam seemed taken aback. Her gaze softened, just a fraction. You're bold, she murmured. I'm honest. Miriam studied her for a long moment before stepping back. We'll see, she said, and walked out. When she was gone, Adrian returned at once. What did she say? Did she upset you? Lena smiled faintly. She tried. But I handled it. Adrian's shoulders relaxed. Good. I knew you would. She didn't know why, but his confidence in her made something inside her warm. The next few days passed quietly, but tension simmered beneath the surface. Lena waited anxiously for her results while navigating work, pretending to be in a real marriage, and trying not to fall apart. At Novatech, her new project started with a massive meeting. Roxanne glared daggers from the back of the room, but Lena focused on presenting her design. She stumbled once, her nerves getting the better of her, but she recovered smoothly. After the meeting, a coworker approached her. Great job, Lena. Seriously. She nodded gratefully, but her relief faded when she saw Roxanne storming toward her. You think you won today? Roxanne hissed. Don't get too comfortable. People like you don't last long. Lena swallowed. People like me? You're emotional. Unreliable. Weak. Roxanne leaned closer. Adrian won't always be there to save you. Lena's hands trembled, but she held her ground. I don't need saving. I just need to work. Roxanne scoffed and walked away. Lena left the building with shaky breaths. She sat on a bench outside, staring at the sky, trying not to let Roxanne's words sink in. She needed strength, but she felt like a cracked vase barely holding together. Then her phone vibrated. A message from the clinic. Your results are ready. Her heart dropped. She hurried to Adrian's condo, hands cold. Adrian arrived seconds later, as if sensing something was wrong. What happened? He asked, stepping close. My results, she whispered. They're ready. He reached out instinctively, placing a reassuring hand on her arm. We'll look together. They sat at the kitchen table, both staring at the unopened email. Lena took a breath and clicked it. Her vision blurred immediately. Round 1 was unsuccessful. A sharp pain went through her chest. She stared at the screen, unable to move, unable to breathe. I failed, she whispered. You didn't fail, Adrian said firmly. It didn't work, she said, voice cracking. What if none of them work? What if I end up with nothing? Adrian knelt beside her chair. Look at me. She didn't. He lifted her chin gently. We try again. And again. And again. You are not alone. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I'm scared, she choked. I know, he murmured. But I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. She leaned into him, trembling, and for the first time since they started this arrangement, Adrian wrapped his arms around her and held her like she mattered. Later that night, they sat on the couch, a quiet closeness settling between them. Lena rested her head on his shoulder without thinking. Adrian didn't move away. Why are you being so kind, she whispered. He hesitated. Because I don't like seeing you hurt. She looked up at him, heart thundering. But this is temporary. Our agreement, it's just business. His eyes lingered on her. Some things, he said slowly, don't stay inside business lines. Her breath caught. She didn't know if he meant it or if he didn't realize what he was implying. But she felt it, an invisible shift, subtle and terrifying. Their contract was no longer simple. Not at all. The next morning, Lena woke to the faint sound of someone in the kitchen. She sat up slowly, still wrapped in the emotional fog of the previous night. When she stepped out of her room, she found Adrian cooking, actually cooking, something he had never done before. He glanced at her. Good morning. You're making breakfast? She asked quietly. You didn't eat much last night, he replied without looking up. You need energy for the next round. She blinked. Adrian, you don't have to do all this. I know, he said. But I want to. The words warmed her chest more than the food ever could. They ate together in silence, but it wasn't awkward, the kind of silence that happens when two people begin to understand each other without speaking. After breakfast, she got ready for work, but right before she left, Adrian stopped her. If anything happens today, anything at all, call me. She nodded softly and headed out. At Novatech, the office felt unusually tense. People whispered in corners, glancing between Lena and the CEO's floor where Adrian was conducting meetings. It was no secret that Adrian held influence, but what people didn't know was how fragile Lena felt beneath her composed exterior. She was halfway through organizing files for a team review when her phone buzzed with a message from Maya, a colleague she vaguely knew from the marketing team. Hey, sorry if this is random. I saw you crying in the restroom yesterday. Are you okay? Lena blinked, embarrassed. She didn't think anyone had noticed. She typed back quickly. I'm fine. Just dealing with a lot. Maya responded almost instantly. If you ever need to talk, I'm here. I'm a single mom. I know what it's like to feel like the world is collapsing. Lena's throat tightened. She wasn't close to Maya, but the genuine concern touched her deeply. Before she could reply, Roxanne suddenly appeared at her desk, slamming a stack of papers down. You need to stop distracting people with your drama, Roxanne hissed under her breath. Some of us are trying to work. Lena shut her eyes for a moment, steadying herself. I'm not causing any drama. Oh, really? Roxanne sneered. Then explain why Adrian keeps sticking his nose in your business. You're making everyone uncomfortable. Lena's heart raced. I can't control what he does. Maybe you can't, Roxanne said, leaning closer, but I can control how long you stay employed here. Lena froze. Shock flooded her. Was Roxanne threatening to fire her? You can't do that, Lena whispered. Roxanne smirked. Watch me. But before Lena could respond, someone behind them spoke. She won't have to watch anything, Adrian said coldly. Roxanne spun around, face draining of color. Adrian. He stepped forward, eyes sharp and voice ice cold. I reviewed the internal records. You deleted Lena's submissions. You attempted to reassign her projects without approval. And you created a hostile work environment. Roxanne's mouth fell open. You're done here, Adrian said. Effective immediately. Panic flashed across Roxanne's face before she stormed out, muttering curses under her breath. Lena stared at Adrian, overwhelmed. You fired her? I removed an obstacle, he said simply. She was destroying your confidence. Lena swallowed hard. I don't know what to say. You don't need to say anything, he replied softly. Just breathe. Later that afternoon, Lena sat outside on a bench, letting the breeze cool her face. She finally felt like she could think. But she wasn't alone for long. Julian Crestwood, the head of another department, approached with a small smile. You're Lena, right? Adrian mentioned you're leading the new product design. Congratulations. Lena nodded gratefully, but before she could reply, a small boy ran toward Julian crying, Dad. Julian instantly knelt and scooped him up. Hey. What's wrong, buddy? The boy pointed at his chest. It hurts. I can't breathe. Julian's face paled. His inhaler. I don't. Someone rushed toward them, Maya. Leo. Lena stood instantly as Julian passed the boy to Maya, worry etched into his face. Is it his asthma again? Maya nodded, voice trembling. He just had this attack last week. Julian quickly said, I'll get the car. We're taking him to the hospital. Lena offered her support. I'll help. Within minutes, they were in Julian's car speeding toward the emergency room. Maya held Leo tightly, whispering comfort while Julian's hands shook on the steering wheel. Lena sat beside them, trying to stay calm for Maya's sake. When they reached the hospital, doctors immediately took Leo Indiana. Maya collapsed into a chair, sobbing into her hands. Lena wrapped an arm around her. He'll be okay, Lena whispered. Maya nodded shakily. I just wish I didn't have to bring him to work. But I can't afford childcare. Lena's heart tightened. She understood more than anyone what it felt like to be hanging on by a thread. Julian paced the floor restlessly until the doctor came out and explained Leo was stable. Maya burst into relieved tears. Thank you, she cried, hugging Julian. He froze for a moment, then hugged her back. Lena watched the moment quietly. Something about it felt significant, like lives were starting to intertwine in unexpected ways. When Lena returned home that night, Adrian was waiting by the window. He crossed the room in 3 long strides. You're late, he said, voice strained. Are you okay? She nodded. I'm fine. Maya's son had an asthma attack. We rushed him to the hospital. Adrian's eyes softened. You helped her? She needed someone. He exhaled slowly. You always help people. Even when you're hurting. She looked down, trying to steady herself. Did you think I wouldn't come back? Yes, he admitted quietly. Just for a moment. And the thought bothered me more than it should. Her heart did a slow, painful twist. She stepped closer. He didn't move. The air between them charged with something new, something growing stronger every day. Adrian, she whispered, are we still pretending this is just a contract? He stared into her eyes, expression raw and unshielded. I don't know, he said softly. Not anymore. Lena's breath hitched. She felt the truth pulsing between them, fragile and undeniable. When she finally walked toward her room, her mind spun with the weight of everything happening, at work, at home, inside her chest. But just as she reached her door, Adrian spoke again, voice low, almost tense. The clinic called, he said. They said the results for the next step will be ready tomorrow. Lena froze. She turned slowly. Tomorrow? Adrian nodded, his face unreadable but his eyes burning with worry. We'll know then, he whispered. If the second attempt worked. Her heart dropped. Tomorrow would determine everything, her future, her father's legacy, the fate of their contract, and the path of whatever fragile, unexpected bond was forming between them. Lena barely slept that night. Every minute felt like an hour, every hour like a weight pressing against her chest. She lay awake staring at the ceiling, listening to the faint sounds of Adrian moving restlessly in the living room. He didn't sleep either. She could feel it, like the tension in the air had wrapped itself around them both. By morning, her stomach twisted with dread. She walked out of her room, and Adrian was already standing by the window, hands in his pockets, staring out at the city like he was trying to decode it. He turned the second he sensed her. "Lena." His voice sounded softer than she'd ever heard it. "Did the clinic call yet?" she asked. "Not yet," he said. "But they will." The heaviness in his tone made her chest tighten. She nodded and moved to sit on the couch, but her legs felt weak. Adrian walked toward her, hesitation flickering across his face before he sat beside her, closer than usual, close enough that his arm brushed hers. "Whatever happens," he said quietly, "we face it together." She stared at him, startled. "Together?" "Yes," he said. "I'm not letting you go through this alone." The words rooted themselves deep inside her, warm and terrifying all at once. They waited. Minutes crawled by. 8 minutes. 20. 40. The silence became unbearable. Finally, her phone buzzed. Lena flinched so hard it slipped from her hands. Adrian caught it midair, his reflexes sharp, then froze as he saw the caller ID. The clinic. He handed her the phone slowly, his fingers brushing hers. "You should answer." Lena's pulse pounded in her ears. She pressed the phone to her ear. "Hello? This is Lena." "Hi Lena, this is Dr. Rana. We have your results." Her throat closed. "Okay." There was a brief pause, a pause that stretched on forever, and then. "I'm sorry, Lena." The second attempt was unsuccessful. Her body went cold. Adrian's head lowered, eyes closing as if he had felt the blow himself. Lena tried to respond but no sound came out. Her lips trembled, breath stuttering. Her vision blurred instantly. "Lena? Are you still there?" Dr. Rana asked gently. I'm here," she whispered, though she barely recognized her own voice. "I know this is difficult," Dr. Rana continued softly. "But you have one more round. And we'll adjust the protocol to give you the best possible chance." Lena nodded even though the doctor couldn't see her. "Thank you." She ended the call with trembling fingers and slowly lowered the phone onto her lap. For a moment, she didn't move. She didn't cry. She didn't breathe. She just stared at nothing, feeling the weight of everything collapsing inside her. Adrian reached out cautiously, like he wasn't sure if he had the right to touch her. "Lena." She lifted her hands to her face and broke. The sob that escaped her felt raw, like a wound tearing open. She shook violently, her entire body collapsing inward. Adrian pulled her into his arms instantly, holding her so tightly she could feel his heartbeat hammering against her cheek. He didn't say anything. He didn't try to fix it. He just held her as if she were the most important thing in the world. "I'm trying so hard," she choked out. "I'm doing everything. And it still isn't enough." "You are enough," Adrian whispered fiercely. "You are more than enough." She clung to him, crying harder, because part of her believed him, wanted to believe him. "I'm scared," she sobbed. "I'm so scared of losing everything." "You won't," he promised. "Not while I'm here." She cried until she couldn't anymore. When her tears finally slowed, she realized she was still in his arms. She pulled back slightly, wiping her eyes. "I'm sorry," she murmured. "Don't apologize," Adrian said. "Ever." There was a long silence, filled with their uneven breaths. Then Adrian spoke again, his voice rougher than usual. "I've been thinking, maybe we need to change something." "Change what?" she asked, confused. "The way we're doing this," he said. "You're carrying everything alone. You're terrified of failing. But this isn't just your burden. It's mine too." Her heart pounded. "Adrian." He met her eyes, and she saw something there, something unguarded, something he wasn't supposed to feel. "I want this to work," he said. "More than I expected to. More than I understand." She swallowed hard. "And what if the third attempt fails?" "Then we find another way," he said immediately. "If the world shuts one door, I'll break down 10 more for you." Lena had to look away because the intensity of his sincerity was too much. A soft knock on the condo door startled them both. Adrian frowned, standing up. "Who is that?" He opened the door, and froze. It was his mother. Miriam swept inside before he could speak, eyes sharp as ever. "Adrian, why didn't you return my calls? And why does Lena look like she's been crying?" Lena stiffened, quickly wiping her face, but Miriam wasn't fooled. "Has something happened?" Miriam demanded. Adrian stepped protectively in front of Lena. "Mother, this is not the time." Miriam ignored him and approached Lena with surprisingly gentle eyes. "Dear, tell me the truth." Lena hesitated, unsure if she should open herself to this woman. But she saw something in Miriam's face, a flicker of genuine concern beneath the steel. "My second attempt didn't work," she whispered. Miriam exhaled, and for the first time, her stern expression shifted into something almost tender. She reached out, surprising both Lena and Adrian, and took Lena's hands. "I had 3 miscarriages before Adrian," Miriam said quietly. "I know how it feels to want something so badly it hurts to breathe. And I know how it feels to think your body betrayed you." Lena's eyes widened in shock. "I'm sorry," she whispered. Miriam nodded. "Pain changes us. But it also makes us fight harder." She squeezed Lena's hands. "Whatever you need. I'm here." Lena blinked, overwhelmed by the unexpected comfort. Adrian looked stunned as well. His mother wasn't cruel, she was guarded. Hardened by her own battles. And now, Lena understood her a little more. Miriam stepped back, composed again. "We will make the third attempt work." The word "we" made Lena's heart ache. When Miriam left, Adrian turned to Lena, searching her face. "Are you okay?" "I think so," she whispered. He reached for her, hesitated, and then let his hand fall. "We'll get through this," he said softly. "No matter what." Lena nodded, though fear still gnawed at her. Because hope, she realized, was both a lifeline and a knife. And the third attempt would decide everything. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment to support the channel. Your engagement helps this story reach more incredible viewers and keeps these stories coming.